All right, so we're going to foam roll quads 3-way. So I'm going to have Hannah come down onto her forearms here with that sitting right at her mid-thigh. And so what she'll do first is she's going to keep her toes pointed straight to the ground, and she'll saw her body back and forth, trying to go to the tops of her knees and then where her hips stop or where she's comfortable. Then after she does this a couple times, I'm going to have her angle her toes pointed out to the side. So this will get the inside part of the thighs, and repeat the same thing, sawing back and forth, staying away from bony prominences. And the last one, we're going to go toes pointed in to get the outside part of the quad. So she'll angle toes in and then saw her body back and forth. And if you feel like you're not getting the outside of your quads, then what we'll do is we'll have you actually rotate your body to one side, which I'll have Hannah do now. So you want to stay off your IT band and still feel like you're hitting the outside part of your thighs. And we'll have her roll up and down here. And then obviously for the left leg, she would just switch sides. All right, so next we'll have Hannah foam roll her glutes. So I'm going to have her do is put her hands behind her on the ground, sitting on the foam roll with knees bent. She'll pick a leg and cross it over like a figure 4 stretch. And what she's going to do, she's going to take her opposite hand off the ground onto this knee, then she'll roll her body to her pocket. And we'll let her roll back and forth on this area in her back pocket area. And then if she wants to switch, she'll drop this leg down, cross this one. She'll bring her opposite hand here, and she'll roll to her outside pocket, up and down there. If this position's uncomfortable for you to get in, we'll have you take this leg and just let it rest on the ground. And then you can still roll to that hip as you work up and down. And the same can be repeated on the other side. All right, so next we have Hannah foam roll her hamstrings. She'll take the foam roll and put it to one side of her leg. And what I'm going to have her do is bend her off leg and put her foot on the ground. She'll elevate this foot. And she wants to use her hands and this foot on the ground to elevate herself off the ground. And she'll roll back and forth. Now to hit the inside-outside part of the hamstrings, all you have to do is turn your foot out, get the outside aspect of the hamstrings, and then obviously you could turn the foot in and get the medial portion. And so I have her switch legs so she can do the same thing. So she'll slide the whole foam roll over. She'll keep her left knee bent, her right leg straight, hands behind her, lift off the ground, roll up and down, rotating foot in and out to get medial, lateral aspects of the hamstring. All right, so next we have Hannah foam roll her calves. So this will be the same setup of the hamstrings, where she's going to have one leg bent, one leg straight, hands behind her. She'll lift her body weight off the ground, and she'll kind of work up and down into the calf. And same thing here, you have a medial lateral gastroc, so she can turn her foot out, get the outside and lateral aspect. She can turn her foot in to get the medial aspect. And then also you have your soleus, which sits a little bit lower, so she could slide this down to more her Achilles area and work the same way. Just kind of rolling inside, outside, up and down. And so now we'll have her roll to the other leg. So she'll switch, she'll bend her left knee, put her hands behind her. She's going to lift her body weight off. She's going to rotate foot in and out, get medial lateral gastroc. And then we'll have her slide that down to her soleus, more in her Achilles area. Same thing, body weight rolling in and out. So now we're going to roll a T-spine. So I'm going to have Hannah do his knees bent, butt on the ground, hands behind head. And she wants to perform a mini crunch here, so she'll crunch up a little bit to create some tension. Then I'll have her slightly raise off the ground. And she's going to roll between the bottom of her shoulder blades and the top of her shoulder blades, so she's not getting to her neck or her low back. Good. And then out of this position, what we can do is we can sit back on the ground. And I'll have Hannah tighten her elbows a little bit together to create tension across her mid-back area to move her scaps out the way. And then I'm going to have her extend over this foam roll. She's going to do some at the top of her scap, keeping the butt on the ground. And then she's going to slide her body up. And now she'll go the middle of her scap, extending as far as she can, reaching. And then she'll go a little bit more to get the lower part of her scap and extend again. So we call this 3-way T-spine extension. All right, so next we're going to do a thread the needle with a foam roll. So I'm going to have Hannah come hands and knees, where hands are stacked underneath shoulders, knees are stacked underneath hips. And what she's going to do, she's going to take the back side of her opposite hand, put it on the foam roll, and then she's going to reach and let that roll through. Perfect. Come back. Let's let her do one more. Good. And then she'll bring it to the opposite side. And now she'll reach with her left hand, Out of that all fours, reach and roll. Good. And one more. All right, so next we're gonna do a child's pose reach with the foam roll. So I'm gonna have Hannah do is put the pinky side of her hands on this foam roll. And what she wants to do is sit her butt back to her heels and reach her hands out as far as she can. And the goal is that we want to extend or sag through this low back, feeling stretch in the lats, and have her come back up. And let's have her do one more reach. Reach out as far as she can, sagging in the back. Perfect, and back up. So next we're gonna do a pec stretch series. So I'm gonna have Hannah sit on the foam roll. She's gonna go tailbone on one end and head on the other. So go ahead and hop down there for me, Hannah. And then what she'll do is she'll keep her knees bent to stay balanced. And then we're gonna do 3 different positions. So the first one's gonna be a triangle. So she's gonna go palms up to the ceiling with her hands near her pockets. So slide down just a little bit. And if you don't feel much of a stretch in this area, then you can slide your arms up into what we call a T. So she'll come parallel with her shoulders. And if this still you don't feel a stretch at the front of your shoulder, you can go into what we call a field goal or a W. So let's have you kind of go 90-90. So in this position, her elbows are bent 90 degrees and shoulders flexed 90 degrees. You should feel a stretch right across the front of your shoulder. All right, so next Hannah's gonna do foam roll swimmer. So again, I'm gonna have her sit tailbone on one end and head on the other. And so she'll come onto the foam roll. We're gonna keep her knees bent to keep her balance. And she'll start with both arms by her side. Then she's gonna reach one arm up overhead. And as she reaches, she wants to reach towards the ground as high as she can. And then she'll switch her arms like she's doing a backstroke. And the key is she wants to reach to stretch her lats and then open up through her pecs. And she'll just alternate. All right, so next we're gonna have Hannah foam roll her lats. So what she's gonna do is she's gonna angle this foam roll underneath her armpit at a 45-degree angle. And then she'll go palm up. And then all we're gonna have her do is roll her body towards the foam roll and back. So if she rolls towards that foam roll, she's gonna get this more into her lats. And if she rolls backwards, she's gonna feel this at her posterior shoulder. And if you don't feel like you're getting this in the right spot, you can always adjust the foam roll to slide as needed. And again, just rolling in and out with this palm up to the ceiling and back. All right, so we're gonna foam roll posterior shoulder. So you wanna sneak this at the back of the armpit, and then I'll cradle or hold this arm here as I just work into my posterior cuff, and then I can roll into my scap as well and kind of find some of what we call trigger points or sweet spots, some of those tender areas. And we'll just kind of roll back and forth. You don't want to stay in that area too long. You'll treat it like a speed bump, just working kind of back and forth. All right, so next we'll take the lacrosse ball and we're going to work into the pec. So I want to hold this with my offhand and work this right on the outside of my pec near my armpit. And so I'll put a little pressure into the ball, still holding with my offhand. And once I kind of find one of those sweet spots, I'm going to lightly raise that arm up and down. I can do some coming in front of me in the flexion. And I can do some straight out to the side in the abduction. Just working across that tissue. And if you want to, you can also just kind of roll around in that area. But we like to do some release techniques with the arm raises. After that, we'll take this into the upper trap. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this lacrosse ball and find the spot in the top of your shoulder so you have to lean forward. And I'll still hold this with my offhand and work into that trap. And this one I'll just kind of lightly roll around some sweet spots or hold pressure on it. And I can move that a little bit closer to my neck and still anchor in some nice pressure and just hold, or I can do light rolls. All right, so next we're going to work into the glutes. So we'll take the lacrosse ball. You're going to find the outside of your hip bone, and you want to trace that into the glute area here. And then you want to put just a little bit of pressure on the outside of that glute. And from this position, you're going to let that knee just rock out into the ball and back up, and then rock back out and back up. After you do a couple, you can try to find a little bit different location. And same thing, let that knee rock out to the side and back up. All right, so next we'll do a lacrosse ball to the hamstring. So I just want to find a tender or a tight spot in that hamstring, put it right underneath my thigh. And then from that position, just work into some knee extension, back and forth. So again, letting that tissue kind of strip over that ball. If I need to find a little bit different spot, I can go a little bit lower, a little bit higher, and just back and forth. All right, so next we'll work into our calf. So we're gonna get this on the outside of the lateral gastroc head here. And what I wanna do is find kind of a tender spot or a sweet spot. When I get that spot, just kind of flexing down, dorsiflexing up. And then if you find another spot on the inside of the calf, just slide that lacrosse ball over, kind of search and destroy here, and then back and forth, back and forth. All right, last we'll kind of work into the foot. So this is great for plantar fasciitis. So I want to dig that lacrosse ball in at the heel and just work from the heel into the arch, back and forth. And if you want more pressure, you can stand and do the same thing. And again, I'm just searching for tender spots, and I'm applying as much pressure as I can tolerate.